He smiled when he said it. Your degree isn't relevant, sweetheart. My cousin's got this. Sweetheart. The word oozed with that smug, patronizing tone that made my skin crawl. I smiled back, because anger, when disguised as grace, becomes power. He thought he'd embarrass me. He had no idea I'd already started writing his downfall. It had begun a year earlier. When I first joined the company, Greg, the general manager, called me his brightest find, and I believed him. He mentored me, introduced me around, even let me sit in on meetings far above my rank. For a time, I thought he recognized my potential. I was wrong. He just saw how to use it. The shift was subtle at first, my proposals appearing under someone else's name. Then the project I had built from the ground up, the logistics overhaul that saved the branch six figures. Credited to his cousin, Melissa. That's when I realized Greg was a mentor. He was a gatekeeper, and that gate only opened for family. When I confronted him, he laughed. It's business, not betrayal. Don't take it personally. But betrayal is always personal, especially when it's wrapped in mentorship. I didn't yell. I didn't quit. I stayed. And I learned. Every late night, every document I processed, every access point I quietly kept after my transfer, I memorized it all. I studied the hierarchy, the audits, the compliance reports. I watched how the money moved, how Greg covered Melissa's mistakes, how the branch numbers always looked just a bit too perfect. So when he finally told me I was no longer needed, I already held the entire map of his corruption. The next morning, I didn't come to plead. I came with a report not for him, but for the regional director. I presented it like a thesis. Clean, concise, undeniable. Audit discrepancies. Forged signatures. Manipulated metrics. Every trail led straight to Greg and Melissa. The director said little. Just one question. Are you certain? I don't make claims I can't prove. I replied. He nodded once, then scheduled a surprise branch visit. Greg was mid-laugh with his cousin when the director walked in. The entire room froze. Where is she? The director asked. Greg grinned, still confident. Fired her yesterday. She was becoming difficult. And right then I saw it, the exact second his world split apart. The director's face hardened. His voice dropped to a frigid calm. My God, what have you done? The silence that followed was thick enough to choke on. You could almost hear Greg's pulse behind his fake smile. Minutes later, they called me into the office. Greg couldn't meet my eyes. Melissa fidgeted, clutching her phone like a lifeline. The director slid my report across the table. You did your homework, he said. I nodded once. Greg stammered. This is a misunderstanding. Then explained the falsified contracts. The director cut in. No one said a word after that. Within an hour, security was walking Greg and Melissa out. The same hallway where I once stood, humiliated, now echoed with their disgrace. Justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers, through closed doors and signed termination papers. A week later, I was reinstated. Promoted, actually. The director called it rectifying a mistake. I called it balance. Greg tried to call me once. I let it ring. There's no closure in listening to a liar beg. People ask how I stayed so calm. The truth? Revenge has nothing to do with rage. Rage is loud, messy, and blind. Revenge, real revenge, is precision. I never shouted. I never threatened. I just waited for the truth to become undeniable. Men like Greg always underestimate quiet women. They think silence equals submission, but silence is strategy. It's the stillness before the strike. The office feels lighter now. Sometimes I catch whispers about the incident. They don't know the details, just that it ended swiftly and completely. That's enough. I walk past Greg's old office every morning. The nameplate is gone. The blinds are open. The light falls differently now. Cleaner, sharper. I don't feel guilt. I feel clarity. He built his throne on stolen work. I just removed the foundation. If you ask whether it was worth it, I'd say this. There's a rare peace that comes from reclaiming your dignity without ever raising your voice. He once called me sweetheart. Now he calls me ma'am. And that's the kind of revenge no title can outrank.